Every evening, Mama Grace returned to her mansion covered in the city's contempt. Spit, mud, insults clinging to her like a second skin. Her son Daniel would beg her to stop, but she would simply smile and say, "Not yet." Because somewhere in this cruel city of 10 million souls, there existed a heart pure enough to defend a nobody, strong enough to stand against injustice, and wise enough to recognize that true wealth has nothing to do with money. She would sit in the dirt until she found it. What she didn't expect was that today, in the aftermath of the worst humiliation yet, that heart would finally reveal itself, young, fierce, and female. It was a humid evening in the city after a thunderstorm had passed. The streets reflected with rainwater and deep pools formed everywhere. An elderly woman named Mama Grace sat wearily on a cracked concrete block near the busy street. Her faded wrapper was threadbare, and her rubber slippers had seen better days, but her eyes held a gentle wisdom. She had just finished cleaning the front of a small pharmacy and was catching her breath before her long walk home. Suddenly, a silver Mercedes-Benz came roaring down the narrow street without any care. The car plowed through a massive puddle, sending a torrent of muddy water crashing over Mama Grace. The old woman cried out, struggling to wipe the filthy water from her eyes, but she was completely drenched. Her wrapper, headscarf, and even her worn bag were soaked with brown sludge. People on the street gasped in horror. "Ah, see what this man has done!" a young woman cried out. The car slowed to a stop just meters away. The tinted window rolled down halfway. An arrogant male voice boomed from within. "Next time, don't sit where cars pass, old woman. This is a modern city, not your ancient village." The window rolled up with a whir, and the car accelerated away, leaving shocked onlookers in its wake. The crowd erupted. "What kind of wickedness is this?" one man shouted. "He didn't even apologize." Another woman cried, "Mama Grace helps everyone in this area. How can he treat her like garbage?" But the old woman raised a trembling hand and spoke with quiet dignity. "Leave him, my children. What is done. God sees everything." Meanwhile, the man in the Mercedes, Victor, pulled into an exclusive members-only club. Stepping out in his designer suit, he immediately took a photo and posted online with the caption, "Peasants should know their place. Success speaks volumes." Within seconds, his followers were praising him. Show them who's boss. Money talks. He grinned arrogantly. To him, crushing the spirits of the poor was just another Tuesday. He had climbed to wealth by stepping on others and saw no reason to stop now. Mama Grace reached her home that evening, exhausted but maintaining her quiet strength. She pushed open the door to the sprawling compound, a magnificent estate with manicured gardens. Though she dressed humbly and spent her days among the common people, her son Daniel was one of the city's most successful tech entrepreneurs. The house had marble floors, crystal chandeliers, and priceless art, but none of it mattered to the old woman. Daniel was pacing in the living room, reviewing documents on his tablet when he saw his mother enter. "Mama, what in God's name happened to your clothes?" he exclaimed, rushing over. "You look like you fell into a gutter." Mama Grace settled slowly into a chair and sighed deeply. "Daniel, today I encountered the most heartless person. Such cruelty in one so young." Daniel's face tightened. "Mama, we've discussed this endlessly. Why must you continue going out there? Why sit with market women and sweep shops? You live in luxury now. You have servants, drivers, everything." Mama Grace looked at her son with patient eyes. "I will never stop, Daniel. Not until I find a worthy wife for you." Daniel set down his tablet with frustration. "Mama, this again?" "Yes, this again," Mama Grace said firmly. "You're 35 years old, my only child. You need a partner who will cherish you, not just admire your success." Daniel massaged his temples. "Mama, I'm seeing someone." The old woman straightened immediately. "Since when? Who is this person?" "I've been dating her for months. I didn't want to mention it until I was sure, but since you keep pressing." Daniel trailed off. Mama Grace leaned forward eagerly. "Tell me about her. What's her name? What does she do? Most importantly, how does she treat you?" Daniel smiled slightly. "You'll meet her soon enough, Mama. She's very beautiful, successful." "Beautiful is not character," the old woman interrupted. "Success is not kindness." "I know, Mama, but—" Daniel hesitated before continuing. "There's one issue." "What issue?" Daniel looked away. "She's difficult, Mama, very proud." Mama Grace's expression darkened. Explain difficult. She looks down on people, Daniel admitted quietly. She's arrogant, dismissive of anyone she considers beneath her. And honestly, Mama, she's wasteful. I give her money for investments, but she spends it on luxury cars, jewelry, designer clothes, all for show. The old woman was quiet for a long moment before asking, "Does she respect you? When she's in a good mood, does she honor you?" Daniel didn't answer. Mama Grace shook her head slowly. "Daniel, my child, I've lived long enough to read people's hearts through their actions. You need a woman who brings harmony to your life, not chaos. Someone who builds with you, not someone who demolishes what you've built. I know you're right, Mama. Maybe I hoped I could change her. Bring her here," Mama Grace said decisively. "Let me see her with these old eyes. I want to observe her when she doesn't know she's being tested. If I see humility, I'll give my blessing. If I see arrogance, I'll speak the truth, even if it breaks your heart." Daniel nodded reluctantly. "All right, Mama. I'll invite her this weekend." "Good," the old woman said, "but don't prepare her. Let her come as she truly is. I want to meet her authentic self, not a performance." Daniel chuckled despite himself. "You want to ambush her?" "No," Mama Grace replied with a knowing smile. "I want her to reveal herself." As Daniel went to prepare dinner, his mother watched with worried eyes. She had raised a brilliant, successful son, but even the wisest men could be blinded by emotions. Another scorching afternoon found Mama Grace sitting outside a busy shopping center. She wore her usual simple attire, a small calabash bowl placed before her. Some passers-by dropped coins, others walked past without a glance. She never begged, simply sat in quiet observation. Then came the familiar sound. A silver Mercedes-Benz screeched to a halt nearby. Victor stepped out, designer sunglasses gleaming, loud music still pumping from his car. He spotted Mama Grace and his face contorted with disgust. "You again," he snarled. "You worthless ancient woman. Must you pollute every decent place with your presence?" Mama Grace remained silent. "Look at you," Victor continued, voice dripping with contempt. "Sitting here like a dying dog, no dignity, no shame. Your generation is the cancer eating this country." Still, she said nothing. "What's wrong? Cat got your tongue, or are you too stupid to speak?" He laughed cruelly. "Maybe death forgot about you. Should have taken you instead of leaving you here to discuss decent people." He spat on the ground near her feet. "You sicken me!" Just then, a young woman emerged from the shopping center carrying several bags. She froze, witnessing the scene, then carefully set down her purchases. "That's enough," she said quietly but firmly. Victor whirled around. "And who are you supposed to be?" "Someone with basic human decency," Rebecca replied evenly. Victor laughed mockingly. "Another peasant defender, how touching." "There's nothing peasant about showing respect to elders," Rebecca said, stepping closer. "But clearly money can't buy you class." "Do you have any idea who I am?" Victor bellowed. "Who my connections are? I could destroy your entire family with one phone call." Rebecca didn't flinch. "Then you prove exactly what you are, empty. How dare you?" Victor shouted. "I have more money than your entire bloodline will ever see." "Yet you're poorer than this woman you're insulting," Rebecca shot back. "At least she has dignity." Victor's face turned purple with rage. "You dare compare me to this waste of space?" "I wouldn't insult her by comparing her to you," Rebecca said coolly. "She's worth 1,000 of you." "Listen carefully, you stupid girl," Victor hissed, stepping toward her. "You'll pay for this disrespect. Mark my words." Rebecca stood her ground. "The only payment due here is the karma you're earning, and trust me, the interest rate is high." "One day," Rebecca added, pointing at Mama Grace, "this same woman you're spitting on will be the one you'll need to kneel before." Victor's hands clenched into fists. Rebecca turned to him one last time. "Take your expensive emptiness and leave." Victor glared with pure hatred, then stormed to his car, slammed the door, and sped off with tires squealing. Rebecca immediately went to Mama Grace. "I'm so sorry, Ma. Nobody should speak to you that way." The old woman looked up with gentle eyes. "Thank you, my daughter. Your courage is rare these days." "It's not courage, Ma. It's just human decency." Rebecca sat beside her on the ground, unconcerned about her expensive dress. What's your name, child? Rebecca, Ma. Everyone calls me Becca. Mama Grace smiled warmly. A beautiful name for a beautiful soul. They sat quietly for a moment before Rebecca asked, Ma, where do you stay? The old woman hesitated. I sleep in an abandoned classroom at the old primary school. The watchman is kind. He allows me to stay there. Rebecca's heart sank. Oh, Ma, that must be so hard. Every season has its purpose, child. Material poverty is nothing compared to poverty of character. Rebecca studied her carefully. You speak like someone who has seen much of life, Ma. When you have nothing, wisdom becomes your only wealth, Mama Grace replied softly. Ma, I studied social work, Rebecca said. Graduated 2 years ago, but no job yet. My family are struggling traders in the village. The old woman nodded understandingly. These are hard times for young people. I was thinking, Rebecca continued, instead of just surviving, maybe we could start something together. A small business, making liquid soap, disinfectants, things people always need. I know the formulas. We could start small, and at least you'd have steady income instead of sitting here. Mama Grace looked surprised. You want to go into business with an old woman like me? Why not, Ma? You have wisdom. I have energy. Together we're complete. But you don't even know me, child. Rebecca smiled. I know enough. Anyone who keeps their dignity under such insults has strength I want to learn from. Mama Grace felt tears prick her eyes. You're too kind. No, Ma. I just believe good people should support each other. They laughed softly together. Rebecca stood and helped the old woman up. So can I see you tomorrow? I'll be here, child. Good, Rebecca said with a playful wink. Don't disappear on me. As she walked away, Mama Grace sat back down, her heart lighter than it had been in months. She looked up at the darkening sky and whispered, Lord, could she be the answer to my prayers? Mama Grace entered the house with an unusual spring in her step. The cool air conditioning was a sharp contrast to the heat outside. She found Daniel in the study, surrounded by financial reports. Welcome back, Mama, Daniel said without looking up. Daniel, come, let me tell you something wonderful. Her son looked up, noticing his mother's bright expression. What happened? Today I met an angel, Mama Grace said, settling into a leather chair. The most respectful, kind-hearted young woman I've encountered in years. Daniel set aside his papers, intrigued. Really? Yes! That same arrogant man came again, the one who splashes water on people. Today he said things that would make the devil himself ashamed. But then, my child, God sent help. What kind of help? A young woman named Rebecca. She stood up to him without fear, without raising her voice like a market woman. Her words were sharp but clean. She defended me like I was her own mother. Daniel leaned back, impressed. Not many would do that these days. That's not even the best part, Mama Grace continued excitedly. After the man left, she sat with me, right there on the ground, in her fine clothes. She talked to me like I mattered. What's her story? A graduate, studied social work. No job yet, parents of village traders. But instead of complaining or waiting, she wants to start a business. She offered to teach me how to make household products so I can earn honestly. Daniel was quiet, processing this. This girl, Daniel, Mama Grace said meaningfully. She has everything money cannot buy. Character, compassion, initiative, respect. The kind of woman who builds homes, not just houses. You sound quite taken with her, Mama. How can I not be? In one afternoon, she showed me more genuine care than I've seen in months. Daniel smiled softly. When will you see her again? Tomorrow. She made me promise not to disappear. Good, I'd like to meet her myself someday. Mama Grace studied her son. Speaking of meetings, when is your girlfriend coming? Daniel's expression shifted. This Saturday, she finally agreed. Make sure she comes as herself, no pretense. I've told her it's just a casual visit. Perfect, Mama Grace said, standing up. Now I need to rest. Today was eventful. As she walked to her room, she added over her shoulder, Daniel, that girl Rebecca reminded me of something important. What's that, Mama? That wealth isn't what's in your bank account. It's what's in your heart. Remember that when choosing a life partner. Daniel sat alone after his mother left, thinking about those words. Deep down, he knew his mother was right. But the heart wants what it wants, even when the mind knows better. Saturday arrived like an unwelcome guest. Mama Grace had been up since dawn, sitting in the living room in her simple house dress. Her heart was unsettled, though her face remained calm. Daniel came downstairs, dressed casually but nervously. "Mama, she'll be here soon." "I'm ready," the old woman replied quietly. Minutes later, they heard a car enter the compound, loud music announcing its arrival before the engine died. Mama Grace didn't move. The door opened and footsteps echoed across the marble floor. Then a woman walked in, designer clothes from head to toe, diamond jewelry glinting. She surveyed the house appreciatively. "Nice place, bit old-fashioned for my taste, but decent enough." Then her eyes fell on the old woman sitting calmly on the sofa. The color drained from her face. Mama Grace looked up at her steadily. "Welcome. You doll?" The woman's voice came out strangled. "Yes," she said simply. "Me." Daniel looked between them, confused. "Wait, you know my mother?" The woman's mouth opened and closed like a fish gasping for air. "We've met," Mama Grace said calmly. "Haven't we, Cynthia?" Cynthia swallowed hard. I didn't know she was your mother." "So it's true?" Daniel's voice grew cold. "You know her?" The old woman leaned forward slightly. "This is the person who told me just days ago that I was useless, that death should have taken me. The same one who says I pollute decent places with my presence." Daniel's face transformed from confusion to shock. "Cynthia, tell me she's mistaken." "I thought she was a beggar," Cynthia protested weakly. "She thought I was human," Mama Grace corrected. "That should have been enough." "It was a misunderstanding," Cynthia said desperately. "No," the old woman said firmly. "It was a revelation. You showed your true self when you thought I was nobody." Daniel stood slowly, his voice dangerously quiet. "You insulted my mother, in public." "I didn't know." "It shouldn't matter," Daniel exploded. "She's an elderly woman. Even if she were a stranger, even if she were actually begging. Is that how you treat people?" Cynthia's designer mask finally cracked. "Why should I care about poor people? They're beneath us." The room went silent. Daniel stared at her as if seeing her for the first time. "Get out," he said quietly. "Daniel, please, get out," he roared. Cynthia grabbed her purse with shaking hands. At the door, she turned back. "You'll regret this, both of you." "The only regret," Mama Grace said calmly, "is that my son wasted even one day with someone like you." After Cynthia left, Daniel slumped on the couch, head in his hands. "Mama, I'm so sorry. I knew she was proud, but I never imagined—" "Shh, my child. Better to learn now than after marriage. God protected you." "But I feel so foolish." "No, dear one, you're not foolish. You're human. We all want to be loved. Sometimes we accept less than we deserve because we're afraid of being alone." They held each other in silence. "Mama?" "Yes?" "Tell me more about Rebecca." The old woman smiled through her tears. "Tomorrow, my child. You'll meet her tomorrow." The next morning, Daniel insisted on driving his mother to the shopping center. "I want to meet this Rebecca myself," he said. They parked and walked to where Mama Grace usually sat. Rebecca was already there, arranging some containers and materials on a small mat. "Ma," Rebecca called out cheerfully, "I brought everything to show you how we make the liquid soap." Then she noticed Daniel and stood up respectfully. "Rebecca, this is my son, Daniel," Mama Grace introduced. Rebecca's eyes widened slightly, but she recovered quickly and extended her hand. "Good morning, sir. Your mother has told me wonderful things about you." Daniel shook her hand warmly. "And she's told me about you. Thank you for defending her." Rebecca looked down shyly. "Anyone would have done the same." "No," Daniel said firmly. "They wouldn't have. And we both know it." As they talked, Daniel found himself drawn to Rebecca's genuine warmth and intelligence. This young woman spoke about her business ideas with passion, but without arrogance, about her struggles without bitterness, about her dreams without entitlement. "I should go," Daniel said eventually. "But Rebecca, would you like to come for dinner tonight? Both of you can work on your business plans at the house." Rebecca looked uncertain. "I wouldn't want to impose—" "Please," Daniel insisted. "I'd really like to know you better." That evening, Rebecca arrived at the address Mama Grace had given her. She stood outside the massive gate, double-checking the number, heart pounding. When the gate opened and she saw the mansion, she nearly turned back. but Mama Grace was already coming out to greet her. "Don't look so frightened, child. It's still just me." Over dinner, the three of them talked and laughed like old friends. Rebecca's natural charm and intelligence shone through, and Daniel found himself thinking how different this was from his strained dinners with Cynthia. As Rebecca helped clear the dishes, insisting despite their protests, Daniel watched her interact with his mother. There was something special about her, the genuine respect, the easy laughter, the way she made Mama Grace's eyes light up. Days turned into weeks. Rebecca and Mama Grace started their small business, with Daniel secretly providing capital through his mother. The business grew slowly but steadily. Daniel began finding excuses to visit their small workspace. He'd bring lunch, offer business advice, or simply sit and watch them work, covered in soap suds and laughing. "You know," Rebecca said one day as they packaged products, "I never expected to find family like this." "Family?" Daniel asked, his heart skipping. "Well, Mama Grace feels like the grandmother I never had. And you—" She paused, suddenly shy. "And me?" She looked up at him. "You feel like home." The moment hung between them, charged with possibility. That evening, after Rebecca left, Daniel sat with his mother. "You love her," Mama Grace said simply. It wasn't a question. "Yes," Daniel admitted. "I think I loved her from the first day. And she loves you. I see it in how she looks at you when you're not watching." "But Mama, what if she sees me as just a friend? What if I'm misreading—" "Daniel," his mother interrupted gently. "That girl looks at you the way your father used to look at me, like you hung the moon and stars. Really, but move carefully. She's been hurt by poverty, by rejection. Show her she's treasured." 1 month later, Daniel couldn't wait any longer. They were walking in the garden after dinner, the night air sweet with jasmine. "Rebecca," he said, stopping under the old mango tree, "I need to tell you something." She turned to face him, moonlight catching in her eyes. "What is it?" "These past weeks, you've changed everything. You brought light back into this house. You gave my mother purpose again, and me." He took a deep breath. "You gave me hope." Rebecca's eyes filled with tears. "I love you," Daniel said simply. "Not just as a friend. I love you with everything in me. I want to wake up to your laughter, build dreams with you, create a family with you." "Daniel," she whispered, "I know I'm probably not what you imagined. I know you might need time." "Yes," she interrupted. "Yes? Yes, I'll marry you." She laughed through her tears. "I've been in love with you since you brought us lunch that first week. I just never dreamed." "Dream bigger," he said, pulling her close. "Because I want to give you the world." "I don't need the world," she said softly. "Just you." When they walked back into the house hand in hand, Mama Grace took one look at them and opened her arms wide. "Finally!" she exclaimed. "I was beginning to think I'd have to arrange it myself." They all laughed, falling into a group embrace. "This," Mama Grace said, tears streaming down her face, "this is what I was searching for. Not just a wife for my son, but a daughter for my heart." The news of their engagement spread quickly through social circles. Some celebrated the match, others gossiped, but none were more enraged than Victor. His harassment of Mama Grace had become known in business circles, and Daniel's influence meant many doors were now closed to him. When he heard Daniel was marrying Rebecca, that peasant girl who humiliated me, his fury knew no bounds. He made a call to a dangerous man named Scorpion, known for handling difficult problems. "I need something done," Victor said coldly. "What kind of something?" "I want you to plant drugs in Daniel's office. Make sure the police find them. He needs to be destroyed. And that girlfriend of his, Rebecca, make sure she has an accident, a permanent one." "What about the old woman?" "Especially the old woman," Victor snarled. "I want her to suffer before she goes. Make it look random." "This will cost you," Scorpion said. "I don't care. Just get it done." What Victor didn't know was that Scorpion's younger brother, James, worked as a security guard in Daniel's company. James was one of the first people Daniel had helped when expanding the business, promoting him to head of security and ensuring his sick daughter received medical care. When Scorpion mentioned the targets that night over drinks, James went cold. "You can't do this, brother. Business is business." "No," James said firmly. "These are good people. Daniel gave me a chance when no one else would. Rebecca visits the security families every week with food. And Mama Grace? She knows all our children by name. Scorpion fell silent. Remember when little Sarah was in the hospital? Daniel paid everything. Not because he had to, but because he saw us as family. But the money? What good is money if we lose our souls? James asked. These people saved our family. Now someone wants us to destroy them. Scorpion wrestled with his conscience all night. By morning, he had decided. He called Victor back, recording the conversation. Tell me the plan again. I need all the details to make sure nothing goes wrong. Victor, thinking he was being thorough, detailed everything. The drugs, the planned accident, how to make the old woman's death look like a robbery gone wrong. He even laughed as he described how he would comfort Daniel at the funeral. The next day, Scorpion and James went to Daniel's office together. We need to speak with you urgently, James said. It's about your safety. In his office, they played the recording. Daniel's hands shook as he listened to Victor coldly planning their murders. He really wanted us dead, Daniel whispered, reaching for his phone to call Rebecca. But he didn't count on loyalty, Scorpion said. Your kindness to my family, we couldn't forget that. Thank you, Daniel said, gripping both their hands. Thank you both. Within hours, the police had arrested Victor. He was caught at the airport trying to flee the country. In court, Victor tried to maintain his arrogance, claiming the recording was fake, that he was being framed by jealous people. Then the prosecutor played the recording. Victor's voice filled the courtroom, clear and damning. He detailed every part of his plan, laughed about the old woman's coming death, and boasted about how he would inherit Daniel's wealth once they were gone. The judge's face was stone. Mr. Victor, you planned to murder 3 innocent people out of spite and greed. You show no remorse, no humanity. Society needs protection from people like you. Victor finally broke down, but his tears came too late. 25 years, the judge announced. No possibility of parole for 15. As they led him away, he looked at Daniel one last time. Rebecca squeezed Daniel's hand as they turned away together. 6 months later, the garden was transformed with lights and white roses. Friends and family gathered as Mama Grace stood between Daniel and Rebecca, tears of joy streaming down her face. When I started my search, the old woman said, her voice carrying across the gathering, I thought I was looking for a wife for my son. But God's plans are always bigger than ours. He didn't just send a wife. He sent a daughter, a friend, a blessing that has transformed our entire family. Daniel and Rebecca exchanged rings, their love a testament to the power of kindness over cruelty, humility over pride. At the reception, Scorpion approached with James. Both men wore their best suits, looking proud but slightly uncomfortable. Thank you for coming, Rebecca said warmly, embracing them both. Thank you for inviting us, Scorpion replied, and for showing us that there's always a choice between right and wrong. Daniel had hired Scorpion as part of their security consultancy firm, believing everyone deserved a second chance. He had proven himself invaluable, his former connections helping prevent several security threats. Everyone deserves redemption, Daniel said. You taught us that. As the celebration continued, Mama Grace sat quietly, watching her children dance. A young woman from Rebecca's business training program approached. Mama, you look so happy. I am, my child. My heart is full. Can I ask you something? Of course. Why did you really go out there, sitting on the roadsides? You could have found someone for Daniel through your connections. Mama Grace smiled wisely. Because true character only shows when people think no one important is watching. I wasn't looking for someone who could impress me. I was looking for someone who would show kindness to a nobody. And you found her. No, my child, Mama Grace said, watching Rebecca spin Daniel on the dance floor, both of them laughing with pure joy. She found me. On a day when I needed defending, she stood up for a stranger. That's when I knew. Anyone who would fight for an unknown old woman would protect my son with their life. 3 years later, Rebecca and Daniel's business had expanded to employ over 200 people from underprivileged backgrounds. Their soap-making venture had grown into a multi-million naira enterprise, but they never forgot their roots. Every week, Rebecca still visited the shopping center where she first met Mama Grace, now transformed into a skills acquisition center for unemployed youth. You know what the best part is? Rebecca said one evening, cradling their newborn daughter while their 2-year-old son played at Mama Grace's feet. What? Daniel asked, wrapping his arms around his family. We got here by being exactly who we are. Your mother's wisdom, your kindness, our hard work, no pretense, no games, just truth. And love, Mama Grace added, bouncing her grandson on her knee. Never forget the love. As the sun set over their home, filling it with golden light, they sat together, a family built not on wealth or status, but on the simple recognition of human dignity. Tell us the story again, Grandma, the little boy demanded. Mama Grace smiled. Which one, my treasure? About the bad man and the muddy water. Ah, that one. She settled back, pulling both children close. Once upon a time, there was an old woman who dressed like a beggar to find treasure that couldn't be bought. And so the story continued, passed down through generations, a reminder that true wealth isn't measured in naira or possessions, but in the kindness we show to strangers and the courage to stand for what's right. Outside, the city hummed with life, but inside this home, there was peace. The kind of peace that comes from knowing you are loved, valued, and surrounded by people who would defend you against the world. Mama Grace looked at her family, her son who chose character over beauty, her daughter who chose kindness over comfort, her grandchildren who would grow up knowing their worth wasn't in their possessions, but in their hearts. Thank you, Lord, she whispered, for muddy water that led to clear blessings. And in that moment, she knew every insult, every splash of dirty water, every moment of humiliation had been worth it, because in the end, love had won. Love always wins. Thank you very much for watching. If you've enjoyed the story so far, please drop a comment below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on the bell notification so you won't miss any updates. Thank you, and remember, we love you.